After looking at the humanities papers, I want to take a minute to talk to you about some common problems and what we can do about them. This is, after all, a joint task. You do the work, Stephanie and I provide input and guidance to steer you all into the knowledge and habits you need to be successful. Most of you are not going to be the next Shakespeare, but you all, every single one of you, have the capability of being a competent writer. It is a learned skill, but it takes work. It means you have to meet Stephanie and me halfway and help us help you. So, let's talk about some problems we encountered in these papers. A humanities paper doesn't mean to tell me your life story. That was last week. And I'm willing to listen if you want to email me and tell me all about what's happened in your life because I like you. Once my student, forever one of my kids, even if you're older than I am, which isn't likely. But these are formal academic papers. They have rules to follow, and those rules are included in the prompts. So, what are the rules? You need to use outside sources. Wikipedia is not a source you should use in a college level. It is edited by any Tom, Dick, or Harry with a keyboard, and that means it is simply not credible. You can, however, use the sources from the Wikipedia article. Chances are those are credible. Use the proper documentation. I saw a lot of papers using APA for the in-text citations, MLA for the in-text citations. I saw papers with sources cited by Word or other electronic citation helpers. Don't. First, if you pull a citation from a database or a website, odds are 90 to 1 it's going to be incorrect. Journals and magazines often have proprietary styles, or the style might be outdated. Using an electronic source calls for you to know where to put the material in, what font to use, and so on, and they're not always correct. And sometimes you will put things in the wrong spot, so it generates the result incorrectly. You should use Purdue OWL or another .edu site. They must be 8th edition citations, and don't memorize. Instead, go to the site, look up the kind of citation it is, and read what they have to say. Look at the example they have and follow it exactly. Mirror the example. Put the author name, the title, the publisher, the URL, wherever they have it. Put it in the same spot. Use the same punctuation, the same font, the same capitalization or lowercase, the same placement. Exactly. And then you'll be right. And don't forget in-text citation. If you have something word for word from a source, cite it at the end, but also put it in quotation marks. It's a quote. When you make a quote, put a quotation mark at the beginning and a quotation mark at the end. But even if that quote is the end of the sentence, don't punctuate it. Instead, put the parenthetical citation right after the quote and the last quotation mark, and then put the period at the end of the sentence. The parenthetical citation is the end of the sentence. I saw a lot of papers that didn't follow directions. If the instructions say third person, don't use first person. I, me, our, us, we, or second person, you, your. Don't use contractions. No, can't, or won't, or shouldn't. Don't use multiple exclamation points or question marks together. If the directions say to write about whatever, then write about that topic. If it says a 5-page paper, then 5 pages, 5 sources, and the end citations do not count as a page. Sorry, I think I can hear the grumbling from here. Read the material leading up to the final assignments. Everything is designed to get you to the knowledge level you need to do that final assignment well. That means read the material, watch the videos, and don't skimp on the knowledge checks and the learning checks. Just finding out what the answers are isn't going to help you. Actually knowing what the answers are is the key. I enabled feedback after the due date, but I'm seeing people sharing the answers or using other methods to get the right answers instead of going back and rereading to find them so that they actually learn the material. It gets a couple of points in the grade average, but it doesn't help you at all since you still don't know the material. Watch your organization. If you aren't using an outline, Start. The organization on so many of these papers was awful. Give me a thesis, not a purpose statement. This paper we'll discuss is going to leave you rambling and me totally lost. Make each paragraph relate to the thesis. Start with a topic sentence. Give an example. Support your position with details. Lots of details. And remember, you have access to the databases in the library. Use them. I see a lot of grammar problems. I share links. Stephanie points them out and gives direction. Pay attention. It takes us hours to grade your papers and leave feedback to help you. Help us. Read what we have to say. If we ask you to do some outside work to catch up on things like comma rules, or the difference between a semicolon and a colon, or to check the meaning of a word you're misusing, do that little bit of work. We don't write it because we need something to do. We write those because we want you to succeed and to go on to other classes able to communicate like college-educated adults. And that brings me to the final point. Don't stress over the grades. Instead, concentrate on doing as much as you can to make your writing the best it can be. It isn't whether you have an A or not. It is that you know and understand the material so that you will be able to do the job you're hired to do. And if you forget about trying to get that A and instead focus on trying to learn, the grade follows the knowledge.